Hi everybody, this is Father Warner D'Souza, and we continue with our study of the Gospel of Matthew. Today I want to look at the text of Matthew chapter 23, and we look at verses 23 to 26. So the Gospel of today really deals with the fourth and the fifth woe that Jesus pronounced against the scribes and Pharisees. Jesus is not addressing the scribes and Pharisees directly, but he is actually speaking to the crowds and to his disciples. We know this when we read chapter 23 verse 1. It is almost as though he wants to unmask the religious establishment, exposing them for who they really are. During the 400 years before Jesus' arrival, the prophetic void in Israel was filled by the thoughts of the scribes and Pharisees. These separated ones, which is the meaning of Pharisees, arose from a deep spiritual desire to be faithful to the Lord and not be corrupted by the syncretism of the time. By the time of Jesus, there were about 6,000 Pharisees who by profession were middle-class businessmen. But what began with devotion ended up with deviation. For somewhere over those 400 years, the Pharisees lost the plot and they used their religious beliefs to promote themselves and for material gain. One can look at the seven woes of Jesus as a fantastic piece of satire on religious establishments, and hopefully, unlike the Pharisees, I do hope we have the grace to acknowledge the same when faced with the woes of the Catholic Church today. For example, in today's Gospel, Jesus pokes fun against ritualism without reality. The book of Leviticus, chapter 27, verse 30, and Deuteronomy, chapter 14, verses 22 to 23, command that tithes from the land, whether seed from the ground or the fruits from the tree, is given to the Lord. In short, it prescribes tithes of oil, grain, and wine. Herbs were not included. For all the scrupulosity of the Pharisees, to the point of observing the most trivial aspects of the law by giving the Lord the smallest herbs, the Pharisees conveniently evaded the greater calling to show fairness, to show compassion and faithfulness to others. So Jesus pokes fun at them with an interesting statement. They strain gnats, but they swallow camels. This statement, which sounds a bit bizarre to the modern listener, needs some explanation. The Jews strained wine through a fine cloth before drinking it to avoid touching or swallowing anything unclean, and if a tiny gnat should fall in their cup of wine, they would strain it out by sucking it through the teeth, thus protecting themselves from consuming anything unclean. Yet the very same Pharisees, by their behavior, were metaphorically capable of swallowing the biggest unclean animal in the region, the camel. Jesus presses on in his quest for cleaning up the system and in the fifth woe. He now tackles externalism, or simply those who make a show of being pious while their hearts were filled with extortion and self-indulgence. Rather than merely engage themselves in external ritualism, the Pharisees should have made sure that their hearts were cleansed through repentance and faith. There is a difference between our person and our personality. In our religious practices, we tend to emphasize the personality or what we want others to think we are. God emphasizes on the person, what we really are. He desires truth in the inward being. I want to thank you for being with us today and for sharing in this gospel reflection. And if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, please do that. Share this also with your friends. Have a blessed day.